Give you 2 seconds.
You're arresting him on no charges.
Okay, ma'am. Can you have it go back over here for me?
No, I will not.
I don't know what to tell them either.
At this point, it is safe to say monsters are better than evil doctors. Thinking about Doctor Giggles or Doctor Doom? Nah, those are fictitious types of evil. We are talking about real evil doctors caught on camera while showing a darker side of the profession. Scrub in as we dissect unsettling real-life stories of evil doctors caught blurring the line between healers and criminals. Let's start with Z. Allen Cheng. Chen may look like the most innocent man in the world, but don't be deceived. He is not someone to trust, especially not with your body. But nobody knew about that, not even his college mates at Albany Medical College in the 2010s. Even when he completed his residency at California Pacific Medical Center, San Francisco, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But around June 2020, Chen obtained his New York medical license to work as a gastroenterologist at New York Presbyterian Queens Hospital. And that was when he took a turn away from saving lives to destroying them. Even from 2020 through 2022, nobody thought of Chen as an evil doctor until December 2020, when something disturbing happened at his residence. His then-girlfriend was at his apartment sometime in December just to spend quality time with him. But as they were having fun, Chen knocked her unconscious with a KN95 mask filled with liquid-soaked cotton balls. After he gained her consciousness, she didn't know what to make of all that just happened, but of course, she felt that was weird. Although she didn't know what happened to her after she was unconscious, she became curious and began to search for answers. While searching the apartment, she found files containing videos of Chen assaulting her while she was unconscious. And the horrifying part? It was not just the girlfriend, but there were videos of other victims as well. The woman could not keep this to herself. She went straight to the police, and that was more than enough to search Cheng's apartment. In his apartment, the officers discovered drugs such as fentanyl, ketamine, and LSD. Anesthetics generally used for surgeries were also found there, with a small brown bottle that appears in one of the videos of the attacks, which also contains a powerful anesthetic. Also, dozens of other recordings of assaults were found in the apartment, detailing Cheng's horrendous acts. Every victim in the videos had no recollection of what happened at Cheng's apartment. And if you think Chen took this evil act to his workplace, yes, he did. On the files were also videos of women whom Chen assaulted and recorded even at the hospital. Imagine finding out from a video that you were assaulted years ago. How traumatic will that be? After the raid on Cheng's apartment, his life started to crumble. He was immediately fired by the hospital, and he was eventually suspended from practicing medicine. Chen has been indicted on 61 counts, 50 from the most recent charges, and 11 from an earlier arraignment. As if the evil Chen committed was not enough, he even denied any wrongdoing, with his attorney Jeffrey Einhorn stating that it was too early to talk about the case. He has since been held without bail, and he faces 25 years to life sentence if found guilty as charged. While we wait for justice to be well served, it doesn't seem like any form of punishment for Chen can be compared to the damage he has done. Imagine the girl labeled a hospital victim won by the police, a 19-year-old female scheduled to undergo a test ordered by Chen, seen on one of the videos, shot sometime around June 2021, with her gown open, her private part exposed, and her underwear lowered. Fingers are inappropriately touching her body parts as the victim appears unconscious with no reactions to what is being done to her. This young girl is just one of the few young people that Chen abused. Hospital victim 2 is a 47-year-old woman who was seriously ill, seen on a video, recorded sometime around May 2022. In an apparently unconscious state as her private parts are groped, an ungloved finger is inserted into her mouth and one of her closed eyelids is pulled open. Hospital victim 3 is a 37-year-old woman who was a hospital patient sometime between March 2021 to June 2021, is seen on video lying unconscious with the same thing done to hospital victim 2 repeated to her. Cheng's victims are not only the sick women who came to him for healing, but also some other women who thought they had found their prince charming. Cheng's ex-girlfriend became apartment victim 1, while a woman who met Chen through an online dating site became listed as apartment victim 2. She is seen on video sometime around July 2021, apparently unconscious in his bed as Chen engages in sexual conduct with her. She appears to have a tissue over her face in some videos. A brown bottle is seen on the bed similar to one containing the anesthetic sevoflurane that was seized from his home. And as expected, she also has no memory of the events. She wasn't the only one who mistook a nightmare for a daydream. Apartment victim 3 also met Chen through an online dating site in the spring of 2022, and this particular woman is seen on on numerous videos in his bedroom. She is apparently unconscious as Chung engages in improper acts with her. Also, there was a female acquaintance who spent several nights at Chung's apartment from 2020 to 2022, seen on videos apparently unconscious as Chung commits these crimes. In addition to the victims already identified, several other women have been identified as victims of Chung, and who knows, maybe there are many others he didn't document. Maurice Wen. They say it takes a lifetime to build a reputation, but only seconds to destroy one. In Dr. Maurice Wen's case, his destruction took a little longer than seconds. This is Dr. Maurice. Does he look familiar to you? It's probably because you have seen him in programs, videos, or on TV one time or two. He was a cancer researcher who had already achieved celebrity status in the medical community for developing research in the medical field that saved the lives of others. Yes, he was known as a lifesaver, but later known as a life destroyer when he was caught trying to seduce a 12-year-old girl he had met through an online chat room. Before then, Maurice had not been caught doing anything like this. What we do not know is if he's been a pedophile before or if the rumors are true. Rumor has it that sometime shortly beforehand, he was grief-stricken by the loss of his mother, and this may have driven him to want to relive his youthful years. But honestly, is that even an excuse? What he never knew was that the person he was going to meet online was a decoy worker from an NBC television show To Catch a Predator. The decoy worker had pretended to be a 13-year-old girl online, and even though Maurice was aware, he went ahead to make plans to meet up with her. Unlike most of those who wind up on this program, Maurice caught on after he accidentally knocked over his wine, prompting him to get up and snoop around, where he accidentally discovered a hidden camera. As soon as he saw that he was in trouble, he dashed to the garage, but as he exited, he was stopped by the police. You could feel Maurice's frustration from the way he threw his sunglasses away in anger, but does it even concern the police officers who were all ready to question him? No. Throughout this interrogation, he swore that he had never done what he had been caught doing. Was it believable? Maybe. The craziest part was when he called his wife for his $30,000 bail and said when she's bringing the money, she shouldn't come with his kids. It shows how disappointed Maurice was in himself, but the truth is, somehow, someday, these kids will find out about his deeds. Maurice was able to avoid imprisonment, but he was nonetheless subjected to house arrest and a lifetime registry as a sex offender. Okay, we know you may think his punishment is a walk in the park, but remember we are not qualified to judge him except in our minds. He sure faced 15 years of social stigma and even lost his reputation, his family, and his finances. Practically, he lost everything, and that drove him to depression, which made him commit suicide allegedly by using a belt and hanging himself in his closet. Elizabeth Wettlaufer. Before we begin one of the most mind-boggling stories on this list, Elizabeth Wettlaufer isn't a doctor but a nurse. Nurses are meant to save lives too, and it seems that was Elizabeth's plan when she studied nursing at Conestoga College. But that's not the genesis of her story. Elizabeth Wettlaufer was born and raised in Zora Township, a rural community near Woodstock, Ontario. Growing up in a staunchly Baptist household, she went on to earn a bachelor's degree in religious education counseling from London Baptist Bible College after graduating from Huron Park Secondary School in the mid-1980s. Fast forward to 2007, she was hired onto the staff at Cara, a long-term care home in Woodstock. And oh boy, everyone praised Elizabeth. She was known to her co-workers as caring and professional. But away from the eyes that saw her as a professional was a Wettlaufer who struggled with substance abuse and alcoholism. It became so bad that her colleagues soon noticed as she showed up to work drunk. At one point, she was even found passed out in the facility's basement during the night shift, and this addiction led to her suspension 4 times. It was as if Wettlaufer no longer cared about lives, as she gave the wrong medication to a patient in March 2014. Wettlaufer was finally fired from work, and shockingly she went on to look for another job without quitting her alcoholism. But ever since she left Cara, Wettlaufer had difficulty holding down a job. Eventually, she was hired by the Meadow Park Care Center in London, but lost this job after checking herself into a drug rehab facility in Niagara. Even if anyone was asked to talk about why Wetty was considered a bad nurse, they'd probably just talk about her addiction. Little did anyone know that Wettlaufer was a serial killer who wore scrubs to hide her identity. But her mask would not be ripped until September 2016, when she entered an inpatient drug rehabilitation program at the Center for Addiction and Mental Health, KMH, at a psychiatric hospital in Toronto. There, she confessed to KMH staff about killing or attempting to kill her patients, leading to KMH notifying the College of Nurses of Ontario, CNO, and the Toronto Police Service. She then emailed the College of Nurses of Toronto about her resignation as a registered nurse because she had deliberately harmed patients in her care and was now being investigated by the police for the same. Wettlaufer personally called an investigator from CNO and had CMH staff fax a 4-page handwritten confession. According to her, while she was a nurse at Cara Care, Wettlaufer began injecting some of the patients she cared for with insulin. But in some cases, the amount was not enough to kill the patient, so she was only charged with aggravated assault or attempted murder for those cases. Her first assault was between June 25 and December 31, 2007. She confessed that she injected sisters, 87-year-old Clotilda Adriano and 88-year-old Albina de Medeiros, with insulin. Although they later died, their deaths were not attributed to Wettlaufer. But the next case was on Wettlaufer. This time she injected a patient named James Silcox with enough insulin to directly cause death on August 11, 2007. Through March 2014, Wettlaufer murdered 6 patients, all between the ages of 79 to 96. Before she left Cara Care in 2014, she also injected 63-year-old Michael Priddle and 57-year-old Wayne Hedges with intent to murder. But luckily for the two, they didn't die. While she was in part-time jobs at other facilities and at patients' homes, she injected 3 more people between the ages of 68 to 77 with insulin. During her confession, the police asked what she told the patients before injecting them with intent to kill, and she has this to say. After her 2-hour-long confession, she was formally charged with the 8 murders on October 25. After further investigation, she was also charged with 4 counts of attempted murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault on January 13, 2017. Wettlaufer waived her right to a preliminary hearing and confessed to all charges in court on June 1. On June 26, she was sentenced to 8 concurrent life terms in prison, with no possibility of parole for 25 years. While many feel the law caught up with Wettlaufer, we think if she didn't confess, we may never find out she is a serial killer. What do you think? Now, it's time for today's subscriber pick. This mind-boggling image of an evil doctor caught on camera reminds us of the story of a young girl who came out of the examination room and won't stop crying. After that day, the girl refused to visit the hospital for any reason at all. No one knows what happened to the girl behind the closed door when she was alone with the doctor, but we do know that evil doctors do the unthinkable after they have blocked a guardian or parent from viewing what is going on with their child or ward on the inside. Sometimes these victims keep quiet for fear of stigmatization or lasting trauma, but when they finally decide to speak up, the revelation shatters the world of these evil doctors. An example is Dr. Richard Koff, a retired doctor who had been practicing for more than 30 years. According to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts official website, Koff received his medical education from Robert Wood Johnson Medical School in New Jersey. He then finished his training at Boston City Hospital. You see, Koff was well respected, and honestly, no felony or serious misdemeanor convictions have been found against him until his past secret and evil deeds caught up with him in the latter years. It all started when a woman asked a disturbing question on a Facebook group. She wanted to know whether it's standard to have vaginal penetration during a routine annual exam. Initially, she told her therapist about this information, and the therapist encouraged her to notify law enforcement. While her question didn't reveal the perpetrator, it caught the attention of another woman in the group who mentioned that she had faced a similar fate years back. During their conversation, the two realized they had been abused by the same person named Richard Koff. Allegedly, Koff performed these exams on the two women for over a decade, starting as early as when they were 8 years old and continuing till they were 18 or 19. According to one of the victims, he told them that it would be uncomfortable and it might feel like a rocket ship. Koff was so audacious that he even assaulted these young girls in the presence of their parents. The victim mentioned that if their parents were in the room during the exams, the doctor would shield them from view. These accusations got Koff arrested, and while everyone was focused on the two cases, the case took an unexpected turn. About 3 weeks later, 22 more accusers came forward, with the number of allegations growing exponentially. And sadly, 2 of the 24 accusers were still minors. While these stories sound convincing, Koff adamantly denied the charges. Now he is out on a $50,000 bail and was ordered to stay away from the accusers and medical facilities in Norwell and Kingston, where he practiced. He also can't have unsupervised contact with anyone under 16. including family members, and must surrender his passport and not leave the state without prior approval. His medical license has also been relinquished. Although the case has not been concluded, if Koff gets convicted of any one of the 4 felony R**PE charges, Koff would spend the rest of his life in prison. Cara Rintala. Let's also talk about this paramedic who murdered her wife. Don't get it twisted. This is a case of 2 women, Anna Marie Cochran and Cara Rintala, who fell in love and got into a very toxic relationship. Anna Marie was born in Springfield, Massachusetts on July 30, 1972. She became a paramedic in 2002 and met Cara Rintala, who was another paramedic. Soon, the 2 fell in love and moved into Cara's home in Granby, Massachusetts in 2005. 2 years later, they got married and adopted a beautiful baby girl named Brianna. But that was the end of anything beautiful about this marriage. It was filled with one problem or the other from the start. One of the reasons was because Anna was terrible with money. They fought all the time to the point that Anna once reported Cara hitting her head with a cooking utensil in 2008. The next fight that involved the police was on May 12, 2009. But when responders appeared, the 2 pretended and lied that Brianna mistakenly dialed the number. That same day, they filed for a divorce. And by June 2009, Anna started having an affair with a police officer named Carla Danieli and moved in with him in August. Soon, Anna's habit made Carla leave her, and she soon found her way back to Cara. It seemed peaceful until March 29, 2010, when Cara called 911 to their home. On getting there, Anna Marie was found beaten and strangled in the basement of their home, while Cara was sobbing and cradling her bloodied body. There, they were both covered in paint. After a medical examination of Anna's body, it was discovered that she died of manual strangulation. While Cara was accused of killing Anna, she maintains she was running errands with the couple's 2-year-old daughter and arrived home to find her wife dead. Prosecutors allege Cara fatally strangled Anna Marie before staging the scene to look like an accident occurred. They say she ran errands to establish an alibi and even sent Anna Marie a series of texts that went unanswered to fuel her narrative. Cara's defense argued the police department jumped to conclusions after responding to a domestic 911 call at the couple's home, and suggested there could be other suspicious people responsible for the killing. In 2013, Cara had her first trial and the second trial in 2014. Both ended in mistrials, as the deadlocked juries could not reach a unanimous verdict. However, at her third trial in 2016, Cara was convicted of Anna Marie's murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. That conviction, however, was overturned by Massachusetts's highest court, which stated that a witness for the prosecution who testified about paint evidence found at the scene lacked the necessary expertise. The witness was a paint quality engineer who told the jury that paint discovered on and near Anna Marie's body was still fresh. Medical experts, in the meantime, had testified that Anna Marie's deceased body had been in the basement for up to 8 hours. Prosecutors argued that Cara herself had contaminated the crime scene with the paint just to cover up her tracks. Cara was eventually sentenced, and at her sentencing, her daughter Brianna spoke on her behalf, asking a judge to release her mother and allow her to return home. Judge Francis Flannery recognized the loss of Anna Marie's daughter, however, as he sentenced Cara to 12 to 14 years in prison. Amanda Hickey. Finally, this is the story of the most heartless being on this list. Amanda Hickey, an evil child care provider who ran Little Lovely Child Care Center, was caught on camera. We all know how stressful and impossible it can be to go to do your job with your baby. In most workplaces, it is not even allowed. And yes, that's where childcare providers and babysitters come in. When parents found out about Amanda, they thought they had found a second home for their children. They would leave these kids with Amanda thinking they are in safe hands, unknown to them that monsters are better. Her evil doings were exposed on February 3, 2021, when she called 911 to come to check on an unresponsive baby named Charlie Cronmiller. Charlie was just 4 months old at the time he was taken to Amanda, and for unknown reasons, she refused to check on the boy for over 2 hours before finding him covered in vomit and not breathing. After the infant was taken to the hospital, he was pronounced dead. Amanda told the investigators that she put the baby down on his back, in line with state regulations, but that the child rolled over onto his abdomen. However, according to the security video, Amanda actually placed the infant face down. However, Charlie isn't the only victim. The video showed her swinging other babies by their feet, slamming them into the ground, pulling their hair, pushing and tripping toddlers, and placing others in unsafe positions for sleep. These are victims between the ages of 6 to 18 months. On top of all that, Amanda was licensed to care for 6 children, but 10 children were inside her home the day Charlie died. On September 22, 2021, Amanda pleaded guilty to 7 counts of first-degree child cruelty, 7 counts of reckless conduct, 1 count of second-degree child cruelty, and 3 counts of battery. Amanda entered an Alford plea, which allows a person to maintain her innocence while acknowledging that it is in her best interest to plead guilty to charges of second-degree murder and second-degree child cruelty related to Charlie's death. Eventually, she was sentenced to 30 years in prison, with the court ordering that once she got released, she must not have contact with the victims or any children younger than 13. Which of these people do you find most evil? Let us know in the comments section. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.